Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 39 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're teaching your Raspberry Pi who's boss. What I'm going to need you to do is pour yourself a nice tall glass of iced coffee. That is straight up black coffee poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Sunfounder. Sunfounder is actually sponsoring this most excellent series of video lessons. And in this class, we will be using the Sunfounder. The Sunfounder Raphael Raspberry Pi Kit. Now, I know that most of you guys probably already have your gear, but if you don't, look down in the description. There is a link over to Amazon where you can pick up a kit. And believe me, your life and my life are going to be a lot easier if we are working on identical hardware. Sunfounder, putting the tech back in TopTechBoy.com. But enough of this shameless advertising and promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what I am going to teach you today. And what I'm going to teach you is I'm going to teach you how to remotely access and remotely control your Raspberry Pi. Now, why? Because we want to develop projects that are not tethered to the desktop. And right now we're interacting with the Raspberry Pi through the keyboard and having the Raspberry Pi hooked up to a computer monitor. But in the last 5 or 6 lessons, I've shown you how to develop a security system. And at some point, that security system has got to be detethered. It's got to be detached from the desktop and actually deployed. And so we've kind of been going through this step by step. And what we've done so far is we've added a, let me get out of your way. We've added a keypad for user input. We've added an LCD display to show the user, what prompt the user, show data to the user. And then for the security project, we've added a PIR sensor. Now, I'm not going to go through all that today, but you can go back if you're interested in the security alarm project. You can go back and look at the earlier 5 or 6 lessons where I take you through all this step by step. But what we're going to focus on today is what is the problem that I have? I can put in the parameters from the keypad and I can interact through the LCD. Excuse me. But what is the problem? The problem is you still have to start the program. You still have to start the program, and to start the program, you need the Raspberry Pi connected so you can tell it to run the program. Now, you might say, well, set up a cron job that will just automatically fire off your security program when the Pi boots. The problem with that is, what if you're just sitting there and you're not exactly sure if that program is still running? You need to remotely access the Pi to maybe restart the program or confirm that it's running or interact with the program. Okay, so it is, even with the keypad and the LCD display, I think it is useful to be able to remotely connect to the Pi. And also just any type of portable or deployed Raspberry Pi project, it's very useful to be able to connect to the Pi without having the keyboard plug in and the monitor plugged in. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. Sound good? Hope so. Okay. Let's jump in. There's a few configurations we're going to have to do on the Raspberry Pi side, and then we're going to have to switch over to the PC side. So let me jump in here, and let's see if I can get over to the Raspberry Pi view so you can see what I am seeing. And I need to switch keyboards so that I am typing in the right keyboard. So we're booted up here on the Raspberry Pi screen. And the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go to raspi config. So we need to, let me see here. You cannot quite see that, but what I'm doing is I am coming down. Let me turn the title off for just a second so make sure you can see what I'm doing down here. Okay, so you see down here, what you need to do is you need to come and open up a terminal. Okay, so you're going to open up a terminal, and now from that terminal, I always like having my title on. From that terminal, what we're going to do is we're going to run raspi config. So I'm going to do a sudo for super user, and then I am going to go raspi config. Now, for security reasons, I think the Pi's default have the remote access turned off because you don't want someone hacking into someone's system through their little Raspberry Pi. Now, I'll also say you have to determine your own security needs and your own security configuration. This is not a video on how to secure your Pi from anybody being able to get in. This is just showing you how you can turn the remote access on your Raspberry Pi on, and then you can use it. Whether that's safe or not for your configuration and for your life and for your home system, that's for you to decide. This is not about security. This is just showing you how you can make it available to your network. So you're going to come down and you're going to go to interface options like that. And then you come down to SSH, and then you're going to click on that. And then it says, would you like SSH server to be enabled? And what you're going to say is yes. And so now the SSH server is enabled. You can say okay, and then you can come down and over. And I will make sure that you can see that. So you see we're on finish, and then I will click enter. Boom. Now I've opened up the Raspberry Pi for remote access. Now the other thing that you got to do is you've got to know your IP address, and you do that with ifconfig. Okay. And the ifconfig, I am on Wi-Fi, not Ethernet. So when you come up here, you can see that there's no IP address on Ethernet. But if I come down to the Wi-Fi one, you can see that my Raspberry Pi IP address is 192.168.88.100. Now understand that your router assigned this to your Raspberry Pi, and for some routers this is going to be a temporary IP address, and if you come back tomorrow then this will be a different IP address. And so if you really want to, for your router, it might be good for you to go in and then assign a static IP address to your Raspberry Pi to ensure that you always get the same IP address, and that way you can always connect to the Pi. My router, the way it works is it seems like when it assigns an IP address to a given device like a Raspberry Pi, it seems like it keeps using that one. So I'm not going to need to go in and set up a static IP address, but if it's an issue for you, remember that if your IP address is changing, log on to your router and make it a static IP address. Can I show you how to do that? No, because there's a million different routers and it's done a million different ways. And if I showed you on my router, it would just confuse you probably because your router would be different. But you know what you want to search on and what you want to learn on is how to assign a static IP address on your router for a device. Good enough? Okay, I think that is pretty much what we need to do. That is pretty much what we need to do on the Raspberry Pi side. Now we need to go over to your PC side. So let's see if I can come over to my PC view. And what I need you guys to do is fire up your browser, and then we're going to go to the most excellent duck. Oops, now I got to switch keyboards. I have two keyboards and two mice, and no matter which one, I'm always on the wrong one. But we're going to go to DuckDuckGo like that. And then what are we going to search on? We are going to search on download Putty. Now what Putty is Putty is a program that runs on your PC. Okay, it runs on your PC, but what does it do? It allows you to remotely log into your Raspberry Pi because we just did what? We enabled SSH. So here we've got the nice friendly download Putty page. So we're going to click on that. And then download Putty. Yep, that looks good. So we're going to click on download Putty. And then we come up at the top here. You need to download the right program. You need to download the correct program for your system. And for me, with a modern PC, it is the Putty 64-bit here. The 64-bit times 86, and that is right for me. If you're on a Mac or something else, it might be different, or an older PC, it might be different for you, but I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then with a little bit of luck, we see it downloading here, and it's a small file, and this is the installer, so it happens really quickly. So I am going to go ahead and click on that, And then what I have is I have this installer pop up. I'm just going to say next. And yeah, program files Putty, that is fine. I'm going to say next. And then this feature requires blah, blah, blah on your drive. Okay, that's all right. So I'm going to say install. And then here we go. It takes just a second and it is finished. I use this program a lot. So I like to install it on my taskbar. So I'm going to come down here and pop it up, and then I'm just going to say find Putty. Okay, and there it is. I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to say pin to taskbar, so it'll always be there. And what I can show you, if I turn the titles off again, you can see now right down here I have these two little screens. That is your Putty application. So I like to keep it there, and I like to keep it handy. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and let's see, we hopefully will get the Putty to pop up, and there it is. Now, how do we connect to the Raspberry Pi? Well, I need to, right here, I need to be on session, and right here I need to put in the IP address. And the IP address, remember, for me was 192.168.88.100. And that should go over there and connect to the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi should accept the connection since I'd enabled SSH. So we're going to come in and we are going to open, and boom, what do we have? We have a terminal window. We have a terminal window, so it wants me to log in. So I've got Pi, and then I have my password, 1234. Oops, shouldn't have said that. Okay, and then here we are. We are logged on. Now look at this. You see, I am on my PC. Understand, I'm on my PC, and I'm connected to my Pi. Well, what could I do? I could put ls, and I could see the different. I really need to make this where you can see it without that title in your way. Give me just a second here, okay? It's just, oh, did I kill it? No. I'm quirky, and I like to have the title as I'm teaching. Okay, so you're just going to have to forgive me. I'll put that there. And I'm going to size the window down like that. And now I think you can see everything that I'm doing. So I'm now on my Pi. Like I say, if I type ls, I can see the folders. I can see I'm in my home folder. Remember, I can change directory down into Python. And then what do I see? ls, I see my Python. I see my Python programs. Now let's see if we can run that security program. Let's see if we can run that security program from the PC. And I will just show you, you can go to www.toptechboy.com and you can look at the earlier lessons where I was developing this security system. But let's see if we can actually run the security system. And what did I call that in last week's lesson? What I called my program for the security system was multi-alarm.py. So what I would do is Python 3, because we want to run it on Python 3, and then I better scoot a little bit further out of your way. Okay, and then what am I going to do? I'm going to put in the program name, which was multi-alarm.py. Okay, and then let's make sure it's up there in this folder that I am in, multi-alarm.py. Now I don't have to put a path here because I'm in the folder already. I don't have to put a path there because I am in the folder already. So I click enter, and then it's giving me the little welcome from the Pygame library that I'm using. So that really indicates that the program ran. And so I can come back over here to my overhead view. And what I can do now is I can arm the system. And so I've got A for arm, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I put D. Okay, it's all clear. All right. And then okay, I got to turn, sorry, I didn't have my Bluetooth on. A lot going on here, guys, a lot going on.
Battery 60%.
Okay, let me get this connected.
Connected to Raspberry Pi.
Okay, and now I'm going to star D. I'm going to restart the program. So I'm going to star D to get it to stop. Okay, so the program has stopped. So I started the program from where? I started the program from the PC. Okay, now I want to start the program again because I didn't have Bluetooth connected. So we're going to come back over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give that command again. I'm going to give the command again. Okay, now it has started. So I will come back over to the overhead view. Now let's see if we can arm it. A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then D. Okay, all clear. And then I come up and marvelous. Would that scare you if you were a criminal? I think it would scare me. Two problems. I'm a little bit in the field of view, and also when I bang the table, it shakes things and it sees that as motion. But let's see if I can select a different, alarm sound. So I'm going to do choose C, A alarm, and then what I want is I want alarm 5 and then password 1, 2, 3, 4, D. Bumped it again. Okay, do you see the problem that I have is my keypad is right by my sensor. My hand is in the field of view, so when I set it, it's doing it, but I wanted you to see the whole thing. So let's see now if I was successful in changing the alarm. That, my friend, will get... That, my friend, will get the intruder's attention. Let's see, what was another one? Let's try 3, and I'll try to do it real careful. Choose alarm 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and D. Do you see, when my hand goes in, the sensor is seeing it. Okay, so it's all clear. And now I change the alarm again. I think I would like to maybe combine the and then the shooting, and then I think we would have the intruder's attention. Okay, so some of you guys probably got to this lesson just because you wanted to know an easy way to remotely connect to the Raspberry Pi. Easiest way to do it is through Putty, and then some of you guys are probably here because this is just the next lesson and you're building the alarm system with me. But what I want you to see is at this point we could get the Raspberry Pi completely disconnected from the computer and completely away from the computer. The input is going to come from the keypad. The prompts are going to come from the keypad. I mean from the LCD, and then we can fire up the program, or we can see what the program is doing through Putty. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and disarm this thing because I am just too much in its field of view. Did that work? Yeah, unarmed. Okay, I'm too much in its field of view, and I keep tripping it. I have played around with it quite a bit, where I just completely get away from it, and don't have my hands coming in and getting near it, or when I'm over here, it can see it, or I bump it and it causes motion. But it really works very well if I have it in a little bit more isolated environment. But you see, you can come back over here, and what you can see is that yes, we are connected. We are connected to the Raspberry Pi. Now I think if I do a Control C, I can then sort of get out of the program. I can kill the program. You can see that when I was running the Python program, it sort of locked the terminal up, which makes sense. but what I can do is Control C. I can kill the program from Putty, or I can do Star D on the keypad and I can kill it that way. But you see, all the things that you're associated with CD, all your command lines you have access to. Okay, you have access to all your command lines. Anything you can do in a terminal on Raspberry Pi, you can do in the terminal on Putty. And that's why in the early lessons in this class, I really tried to show you what the show you a lot about Linux, because now almost anything you want to do on the Raspberry Pi, you can do it remotely through the terminal. Does that sound good? I hope it sounds good. This was a pretty easy lesson and a pretty quick lesson. I think next week what I'll try to show you to do is how to use VNC. And with VNC, instead of just having a Linux terminal, with VNC, what you're going to end up with is a remote desktop. I like the terminal better because to me the terminal seems snappier than using VNC, and so I'm not a huge fan of VNC, but people that are more comfortable using a desktop environment instead of using the terminal environment, the Linux terminal environment, you might enjoy VNC. Guys, I hope you're having as much fun taking these lessons as I am making them. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, leave a comment down below, because your comments help me with the old YouTube juice, and YouTube hasn't been giving me a lot of love lately. So, you guys leave some comments, help me out. But most importantly, share this video with other people. Share this class and this channel with other people, because the world needs more people doing engineering and fewer people sitting around watching silly cat videos. Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.